This was my total training volume for London 2019, my first marathon training cycle. And admittedly, I was in Ironman training, so I was doing a lot of cycling and a lot of swimming. But 35 kilometers a week average training? Ooh.
And this is where I come in. This is my training for the Seville Marathon with a maximum week of 50 kilometers.
Hi. I've taken a step back, but that is because I got a little bit injured on this training cycle and I was still Ironman training. Ooh, fast forward to 2022 after we'd moved to Thailand, and this was my Bangkok marathon training cycle volume. This was Mary's. For New York Marathon, this was the top I've ever done. Here's my training cycle volume.
And this was my overall volume with a top week of 80 kilometers.
I was 85 kilometers a week.
And now Boston 2024. This is my overall volume with an average top week of 77 kilometers.
Mine is here, top end of 85 kilometers a week. Chicago in 2024 were big PBs for the both of us. I actually took a step back in volume.
And this is my overall volume, and I managed top end weeks of 83 kilometers in this block. And then we get to Berlin 2025. This was my overall volume, and I got up to 100 kilometers in the top end weeks.
I got to 80 kilometers a week, got injured towards the end. We'll talk about that later, but I'm still pretty happy. This was Tokyo. I got badly injured, sadly, so I did this volume and 50 kilometers average weekly, but I still ran a 2:54, so pretty happy with that.
And Tokyo was my biggest block with more weeks at 100 kilometers average.
But you did run a 3 hour and 2 second marathon.
I did.
We're going to talk in this video as a whole on how you safely build volume, but it's specifically for you, and I think that's the important thing. Let me demonstrate. Okay, the key to holding your mind over all of this is that comparisons are unhelpful, and what I mean by that is Mary's mileage goals, they can't be my mileage goals because our bodies are just completely individual and completely different. But, come on, let's find. So what's more important is understanding that we're all on the spectrum and that the aim for this video is helping you find your best mileage rather than the overall best mileage. You know, we're not going to be running Jake Barrett type mileage anytime soon or ever. And it's worth saying at this point, we've got some pretty ambitious goals for our Chicago training block, which is coming up kind of next, and that's why we're making this video, to share how we're going to build. My aim is to get to kind of 90 kilometer stable weeks. What's yours, Mary?
A number of 100 kilometer weeks.
A number?
6.
We're going to share all of the things we need to consider to get to these points. Like, these are big volumes for us. So does your Boston medal look like my Boston medal?
It does.
So the outcomes, we both got medals. Like, what about your Berlin? Same?
Same.
Okay, that's the point. Yes, we got there in completely different ways, but yes, we also got the same outcome in terms of a medal. And so looking at ourselves as not individual, as, oh, I need to train like this person, comparing anything like that, it's not helpful. And so now I'm going to walk you through exactly how we built volume cycle over cycle, year over year, so that you can do it too. Okay, I'm at my desk now, and this is something that is a bit of a passion project. Now, I'm going to talk about the long-term process and what it looks like for us so that you can envisage what it might look like for you, but you need to know, I am a stat geek. Like, I'm in love with spreadsheets. So I have sat down and I've looked at all of our marathon training cycles over the years since I did my first marathon in 2019. I've looked at all of the volumes across the whole cycle. I've broken it down by blocks. I've also looked at the amount of days we run or the amount of runs we do over the week, if we double run day for an example. And the patterns are amazing. It's really pleasing to see that we've kind of taken the long approach and we've done it in the right way. But it's also really interesting because there have been points where we've taken a step back in terms of our mileage or days run and actually run faster within our marathons. So look at this. This is amazing. I'm going to put it in front of my face. This is a piece of work I've done. But if we look back, let's go back to my first London training cycle. I'm going to show you in a really nice visual format about how many runs we did over the week. So here is my London training cycle. 2 runs a week. But you have to remember I was heavily supplementing that with cross-training because I was training for an Ironman. We'll go on my journey first and then we'll go on Mary's, because I think Mary's is even more special than mine. Very proud of her, and I think she potentially is going to run a sub 3 in Chicago. All signs are pointing that way. But mine first. Seville, 3 runs. And then we go Bangkok and New York. We're up to 5 runs at New York, and that was great. I ran a PB in New York, but then I blew up in Boston. I was so chronically tired, I think I might have overtrained, and that was a 5-run training cycle on average. So Chicago, this was the interesting bit. We took a step back, ran huge PBs, and I've slowly built from there. 4 runs again in Berlin, 5 runs when I could train for Tokyo. So you can see, when I put all of them on screen next to each other, what an arc I've been on. And that's a process of over 7 years. Mary's even more pleasing. Seville, Bangkok, New York, Boston, step back, Chicago, Berlin, Tokyo. In her Tokyo training block, she was training 6 days, 8 runs, and she ran 3 hours and 2 seconds. Now again, this process is over, I'm just gonna do the maths, about 6 years. This is not an overnight thing, and you can see from the volumes that we very gradually built. We don't go from 3 to 5 runs or 4 to 8 runs. This is a very deliberate process, and we've learned from our mistakes. As you can see from the Boston block very clearly, we both underperformed and we both burnt out a bit, so we both took a step back and reaped the rewards for Chicago, where we both ran huge PBs on less running. But ultimately, there are things that move the needle negatively and there are things that move the needle positively, and I'm going to talk about those. I think there's 3 negatives, 4 pillars to build around positively. Okay, let's talk about the negatives first, because I think this is probably the most important consideration before you just start throwing volume at your training. It's not as simple as that, and I have a handy demonstration. Take this cup, for example. Now, or glass, sorry, I'll get told off. This is my training load, all right? As simple as this. We train and we fill up to our maximum possible level. Now, wouldn't that just be nice? There's nothing stopping this training load, but of course we know that's not actually the case. This is real life, and in real life, we have, you see, I've even written on this stone here, we have work stress. Some people are self-employed and are a little bit more flexible. When we were teachers, we were 7 till 4:30 every single day, inflexible. Some people are retired, some people don't have jobs. Very different, so this stone might look a different size to everybody, but it definitely is part of what we have to consider. Children, grandchildren, family, whatever you want to call it, but there is life stress that people must consider before they think about just throwing more volume at their training. And that's stress. And what I mean by stress is some people are just generally more inclined to stress and some people less. But again, it's a factor. Now, when we put that in consideration, this is going to be messy probably. I've even spilt a bit. Look, now we're at the top again. But I still got a lot of training left on the table. So if we just try to fill our cup up without taking any consideration of the stresses that our life has, then we can very quickly go into burnout, we can go into injury, we can push ourselves over the edge where we're just not enjoying training. And what these stones look like are very different for everybody, but they are certainly something that you can't ignore. But I can tell you one thing for sure. If you just try and put more training on top of that, that's gonna happen. And I can give you a great example. When we trained for Chicago, we actually took a step back. We actually went back to less volume. We knew that we had big stones in our cup and we both ran PBs. So it's not just about throwing more volume at the solution. That's not what I'm talking about in this video at all. What I'm talking about is appreciating the stones that you have in your life and then building around it so you can get here safely. Okay, let's talk about what moves the needle. This won't be surprising to you, but there are 4 things that we build our life around in terms of moving the needle for our running. Obviously, the things we're about to talk about are outside of actually running, like consistency and stuff like that. That's a given. Onwards! Let's talk about strength and conditioning, because my thinking hasn't changed on strength and conditioning on the whole, but my thinking has changed on how I personally will approach strength and conditioning from now onwards. Like, it's more purposeful, more effortful. Here's the thing, this is how I think about it, is over the years, because it's convenient and we've been in a full-time job, and I get that, we've been doing a lot of home workouts, body weight workouts, mobility, but my thinking has kind of changed over the last year, and there is a place for longevity, for my life to be able to lift. So one of the things I've learned over the years, I've been coming to the gym for maybe 30 years. This week I've taken a step back from my normal weights that I lift because we haven't done it for a month. But ultimately I think I'm sold on the process of lifting, as in not super heavy weights, but heavy for me. This is nice and easy, just a starter, because I know I'm going to get DOMs from it regardless. It's actually hard to film in the gym because I want to respect everybody's privacy. Like that's a big thing for me. I'm not just going to go in, set up a tripod, like invade all of that, but I also want to tell you what's going on. And the research that's come out more recently is that people who lift, who focus on just things like squats, a little bit of plyometrics, single leg work and isometric calf holds, marathon performance has exponentially gone up in comparison to those that don't do that after 90 minutes. That was the key finding, which I thought was really interesting. They could match each other, a non-strength trained and a strength trained group, for about 90 minutes, but after that, the strength trained were by far better in marathon performance. So you probably saw from that as well that I'm doing upper body because I just want to keep balance. There's not a lot of, or is that clouded over? Hold on. It's misty in there. There's air con. I did upper body because I want to keep balance. Yes, the legs are important in running, but I really actually believe upper body is probably as important. You look stressed, Mary. Good camera. It's good camera work. Yeah, I mean the arms are important in balance and timing of running, but actually it's just important to keep a strong body and not just strong legs. The next thing of the 4 pillars is diet, and I'm not going to go into, like, there could be whole other videos for this, but it's safe to say that unless you get your diet lifestyle wise right, but the diet in the lead up to racing and during racing, the training might not
come to fruition.
Come to fruition is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, we're on a process. We're not finished. We haven't finished this process. It's a constantly evolving one, but we really focus on every aspect of our diet as one of the 4 pillars to bring all of that hard work in the training out. Otherwise it just doesn't come out.
Yeah, ultimately it's what makes you feel really good inside out to perform well.
So that's pillar 2. Okay, if I know Mary like I think I do, 2 more of the pillars can be taken care of here. Now, this is a probably extreme example, but recovery is something that we focus on a lot. We have these big booties, which are, oh no, not big booty, big boots.
No big booties.
No big booties, but we have big booties that essentially help our recovery. That's not the only way we do it. We have the foam roller, we go for massages, we go for physiotherapy. We really focus on our recovery, right? Because I think once you put your legs through the mill, you need to put them in the booties. And lastly, sleep. If you don't focus on it, what are you doing with your life? We try and make sure we get, 8 to 9 hours a night, and I think it is a game changer. If doctors could prescribe it in terms of making people feel better, less illness, they would, because sleep is really the most important thing, and I coach a lot of people that do struggle with it for various reasons, but honestly, when we focus on it, it makes the biggest difference. And those are the 4 pillars that I would rely on in order to bring my actual training out on race day. Okay, let's finish this bad boy off. I'll tell you how we're doing it. So here's our aim for the Chicago training block, which is, of course, Mary is going to aim to run under 3 hours and get herself into the top 10 in the UK in her age group, which is a super exciting journey. My aim is punchy also, 2:39. I need to string together a good training block, but this is how we think we're going to achieve it. Mary is going to try and string together more 100-kilometer weeks. She got to about 3 in a row in the last block for Tokyo, and we want to get to about 6 for Chicago. The way we're achieving that, hitting the gym a lot more, creating a stronger and more resilient body. And for me, I'm aiming to get up to 5 runs in a week, which will be my most since, well, for quite a long time. And my aim, I already started the process in the lead up to London, is that I want to run 5 times a week. So I started easy. I just created the space in my life and in my legs to run 5 times a week by doing 5 smaller, shorter runs in the lead up to London, and I'll continue that now until my official Chicago training starts and I can put runs on top of it. I just need my body to know what it's like to do 5 times a week again. And again, I'm in the gym. I'm looking after all of the things we've already spoken about: recovery, diet, sleep. I'm building it all around those pillars. And I'll also supplement with cross training on top of that, I think, because I think I respond very well to that. So if you want to follow our journey, very shortly we'll be launching a video where Mary will talk about even more detail about how she's going to try and achieve the sub 3, and I'll talk about my 2:39, everything around it. Then make sure you get subscribed. Also, you could join our coaching community. We've got like nearly 200 amazing people in the coaching community, and it's such a supportive community, and we get to help you even more personally. The key is be gradual and approach it over the very long term. Don't try and put all your eggs in one training cycle basket, because we've learned the hard way, it rarely ends well. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, you're definitely going to enjoy my London video and Mary's Tokyo video, and we'll see you on Wednesday.